good example is Mark Norman, who I don't know if you're gonna see in Santa Barbara.
I'm gonna see him tonight. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I'm so
crazy. Yeah, dude.
jealous. Yeah.
Dude, someone just reached out to me. I had no plans. I got someone texted me last night, and they just said, "Hey, do you like Mark Norman?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love Mark Norman. I know he's in town. I didn't get tickets. It sold out." And he's like, "I got an extra one. I went to the casino and I just bought them all drunk, and so
Dude.
I have an extra one." And he goes, "I go, yeah, I'll Venmo you." And he's like, "Nah, like it's on." He's like, "I know you're a comedian. You'll appreciate this." He's like, "This one's on me." So like it's like funny, like things like that. Like my life used to be this joke about how things are always going to shit, and then I kind of flipped my perspective where I'm like, why am I focused so much on negatives? And I started focusing on the good things that have happened to me, and like so many good things it's like insane. So I was like, this is cool. Like this is just another example of like someone just reached out to me, and like the universe is like giving me like stuff like that. Like this path is being kind of like slowly put out in front of me, and I just have to take the signs. And like, but I just in the past didn't. I was pessimistic. I was jaded. I was my frequency was too low. I was involved in a lot of alcohol and drugs, and but I was unhappy. I was masking a lot of that the clarity that I have now. Even though I have a lot. I mean, we're never ending projects. We're always
Right.
trying to strive to be better. But I'm in a much clearer state with everything, and just so my mindset. But yeah, it's cool. Like Mark Norman. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a great night
So,
tonight.
but that's a good example of someone that people might look at him now and they're like, "Oh, this guy blew up." This guy's been putting in the work for
Yeah,
years. I mean,
one hundred
I've been
percent.
following him just popping up on my media, and now, yeah, he's doing the Grenada in Santa Barbara.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. And that to touch on what you said, it's all of that too. It looks like that on social media, since everyone's on essentially social media, and everybody has this perception of the quick blow up, the quick fame. And I mean, me personally, just knowing some people that are blown up and are blowing up in the process right now, it is an endless grind, and they're working harder than anyone could imagine. And like there are anomalies for sure. There's the people in bumfuck nowhere Michigan that post a picture or like a video of them reviewing cabinets or some shit, and then they get like a bunch of like exposure because the algorithm pushes it, and you're kind of at the mercy of that algorithm. But if they put you in the right front of eyes, you get traction, and then you kind of can blow up. But then it's also like, what do you do with that? It's like, what you can just be this viral clip, but like the reason those people succeed is because, like you said, they've been doing this for years and years and years. So there's a lot that once their clip or their whatever their thing that catches them, like Matt Rife, there once he started doing the crowd work thing and he blew up, he had all this stuff prior. He had a resume. He was on Wild and Out. He's been doing comedy. He was doing shows. And so it's like, oh, you didn't just get popular all of a sudden, but people just assume like, oh, you're just because you're good looking, which is true. Like, yeah, he's a good looking dude, but like he had been putting in work. And so I think all of that too. And that's kind of what I view. What I'm kind of doing right now, like what I've been doing is it's all been my way, because everyone's got their own path, and my way has been my way, and it's been off. I go off on tangents. I go on do little side quests and stuff, and the food stuff, the food reviews. My creativity doesn't. I don't want to just be this comedian. I think comedy is a as a whole, it could be many things. So that's why I like to do this. Like I started doing skits. I was doing skits and I was doing bar promos, funny bar promos, because I was too nervous to put out my own content. So I was using my jobs at like Tonic or those nightclubs and those bars I worked at as the disguise of like, okay, I'm gonna just make this, and if they don't like it, if people don't like it, it's whatever, because it's just my safety net
It's
was
not me.
it's not me,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I was doing that for years, and then that's how I ended up getting a job, and like that gave me opportunities, but just for more bar stuff, and then I got known for that. But then I slowly was like, I should just be putting out, like, who cares what people think? Everyone reaches to that, or hopefully reaches a point where they're like, I don't care what people think. Because like if you do, you'll never get past that threshold. And then I slowly got to that point, and then I started posting like, who cares about the numbers? Who cares about the likes? Just post what you like. And then so that's what happened with like this whole food stuff, because I like going out and eating food, and like I know it's an oversaturated market, but who cares, right? So it's like fitness, so is podcast, like, but like, who cares?
Exactly.
I like
That,
doing it. Like,
and that's why I admire you, because it took me a little bit to realize that too, to just say, I'm doing this podcast. I don't care if it gets 10 views. I don't care if my
yeah.
grandma and my two aunts watch it. I enjoy doing this. I love talking to people. I don't feel like I have so much to share just yet of my own experiences, maybe someday, but I love
Mhm.
getting stories out of people, and I'm
It's
just interested in what people do.
dude, it's all about just getting started. And that's the same with like doing stand up. I was just telling people, and people ask me all the time, they're like, I'm interested in it and I don't know where to start. And I'm like, and I said the same thing. And it took a while, but I was like, it's going to sound cliche and you're going to hate that answer, but you just got to do it. Whatever that looks like for you. And like, it looks different for everyone, whether that's like recording something on your phone and doing a like people have talked to me about doing podcasts before. And I'm like, download this app, just put it on the table and just start talking and like just see how that feels and like whatever, like buy a shitty mic, buy a shitty thing. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I know it looks like just because I just market myself a lot better than a lot of people. And like but like in terms of like how to do things, I wouldn't say I know what I'm doing more than other people. I just kind of like don't care in terms of like posting stuff, and that's why like that's got me to where I'm at, is like the lack of caring about my digital footprint for so I'm just kind of like, you know what, dude, that thing's kind of raunchy or that's kind of like risque. I'm gonna just post it and see. I like reactions, it's almost like people will it's borderline trolling, but a lot of it's real, and a lot of it like people, when I go out or when I'm in social settings and they like follow me or whatever, they'll grab me and they'll be like, hey man, that thing you posted about this, or like that video about taxes. Like people have like their specific things that they like come up to me and bring up to me, and I'm like not even thinking about it. And I'm like, that was the one, that's the thing that you're thinking about. And they're like, that really like resonated with me. And I'm like, and that's what's cool. And I was like, wow. Like, and so that's what makes me kind of gives me more like, I don't know, energy and to like keep doing that and like keep posting this broad range of dark humor with like personal stuff, with just like current events. With like a lot of my stuff is obviously a lot of current pop culture stuff, and that's what makes me happy. And then it hits a lot of chords and resonates with people. But obviously, I'm not for everyone either, though. Like, there's people that I'm sure dislike me, but like, obviously, who cares? Like, why would I focus on that? They're not the ones that are gonna support me or pay my bills. It's gonna be the people that have been liking all my stories, going to my, asking me when my next show is, asking me what this is about, where's my wine at? I want to go buy it. Like, those are the people you want to give your attention to. And I quickly learned that, and I was like, that's where I need to put my energy outside of like myself and like my mental and my physical. Like putting my energy into the people that are supporting you, is because without those people, you're almost nothing. You're just talking to nothing. But I would still be doing that even if there was nobody. I would still, just because I truly enjoy it. Like I
That's the thing. You
don't,
enjoy
yeah,
it.
exactly. Also, did this start already?
Yeah, I've been recording, so
Okay,
I'll edit
cool.
it. I think some things, if you're cool with me using some of that,
Yeah,
I
I
finally learned
can.
how to
Yeah,
edit a clip. So
I just wanted. Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't know if you were gonna be like, all right, this is the. Yeah, you can use whatever you want. Yeah, I
cool.
just want to. It's you direct it. So
Yeah, no, I love it. This is what I wanted, just a good conversation. So I did want
yeah,
to ask you about when that shift kind of happened. You talked about, and I went through that as well. I think a lot of us in our 20s go through this time where we want to maybe pretend to be so not, especially in Santa Barbara. For me, it's an amazing city and I love it, but it can get a little old, right? All there is to do is really now drinking it. And I got to a point where I was okay. What exactly with life? And
yeah.
as a shift started happening. So what was it for you when you went from kind of like, okay, I could do more? But was it a specific moment, or was this kind of a gradual shift?
Yeah, that I mean, for me, it kind of came in many moments, honestly. Like there were just periods of time, and it just reminds me of like when I moved here. When I moved here in the beginning, I left Sacramento or Davis where I was at, and I just knew, I told my mom, I didn't really have like a clear-cut plan or agenda. It was just, I don't want to be here and I don't want to do anything up here, but I've always been interested in entertainment, and the only thing I'm really good at is like, I wasn't like an athlete. I was okay. I was like good at drawing. I was good at like a little bit of that, but like that wasn't anything like super spectacular. But the one like through line I had from growing up in Portland and then moving to Davis and then eventually coming here is the common thread was, you're funny. and like, and I knew that inherently, and but I also didn't know how to like, I guess, monetize or channel that. Or I didn't really have like, I didn't even think about stand up at the time. I just knew I didn't want to be up there, and then I came here because I just wanted to be in a better environment for
What year was that?
school. That was in 2009, so I was about 19 or so,
Yeah,
and
straight out of high
then
school. That's what, yeah. Well, I think we're the same age, same
yeah,
grade.
yeah. So I got out of here. I had no direction. All my friends I just made that I moved all went to college. They all seemed to know what they were doing, ish. And then I had no idea. So I was like, I'm just going to go to City College and kind of figure it out. I did the communications degree thing
Same.
with just to help, like just to appease my mom. But like I didn't really know what I was going to do with that. I just wanted to get out of there and like get out of that situation, and I did. And I was proud of myself just for making the move, and because I didn't think that would happen because I had no money and she didn't have money, and so I learned about financial aid, fucking got on a train, got in like a fight, got a tattoo, and just bought a one-way ticket. And she's like, "Good luck," and I'm like, "Yep, later." And then I never really came back. And so for that, it was like really crazy for me, and to get out of like her grasps, because she's like a little Filipino. I'm half Filipino, so she's very strict and has very high expectations. And my sister's like really smart, went to Berkeley, master's degree, all the whole thing. So I kind of did the opposite route. I was getting in trouble, drinking, partying, had a lot of friends, did really bad in school. So I was really social and had a lot of friends, and she didn't have any, like, she just cared about grades, and because she just wanted to make a lot of money. And so I wasn't even thinking about money or anything. I just was like trying to like I was just fighting with my mom a lot, and then I was rebelling. And so anyway, I got here, and once I got here, I just was like, okay, how do I survive? And then I was working odd jobs, going to school, taking classes, but just really kind of dicking around as well, just as most people do. And then just getting into the party scene out here and kind of replicating what I did in Portland and then what I did in Sacramento, which is pretty much make a lot of friends and like insert myself into groups. And then I made a lot of friends. And then so basically fast forward to like these moments, like as I got older, like things were getting like real in terms of like, all right, like what are we doing here kind of thing. And like it happened at a few different moments. And like I remember just like at, I always knew that I wanted to be in entertainment or comedy, but I didn't know where to start. And then I had a friend who was going to UCSB, and he graduated, and then he moved to LA to just pursue straight stand up and do like directing and stuff, but mostly stand up. And then that kind of this was maybe like when I was 22 or 1, and that kind of lit a fire under me where I was like, all right, what are you doing other than getting drunk every weekend and dicking around? And so I started like wanting to like do more. And then like he like he directed a music video. I kind of crashed it. I was drunk and he was mad. And that was a wake up call where he was like, he like didn't, we had a falling out for a while, and he didn't talk to me. And he ended up, he's pretty successful, and he kept growing and growing. And then that always kind of like in the back of my mind, I was like, well, I could do that, but I'm just choosing this. I have like a lack of discipline, and I also knew that too, but I just didn't do anything about it. But I just eventually got like upset about it, and I slowly but surely started like saying, "Screw it! I'm gonna just start making these videos." And then I started making these videos, and then from that, like everyone's just like, "You're funny, you're funny, you're funny, you're funny." And then I was like, I know. And then I would just continue to party and drink and like choose the instant gratification versus long term, and not really put much effort other than like the time I create the content. And then I kind of like sit back and like, I'm like, oh, that's enough. And then I wouldn't put a lot of extra time outside of it because I was just always naturally funny. So I didn't have to work at that. Like some people have to really work at that stuff, which I realized as I started comedy is a lot of people just aren't that funny from the beginning. So they have to take a while to get there, and then they kind of work and they work their ass off. So I didn't really, I kind of skipped that phase because I just always was joking around as a kid and through my high school years into college. And then I got here and I was doing the same thing, making everyone laugh. And then I was like, how do I translate this to something tangible? So I do the skits, and then I I kind of was like, I need more, I want more. And then I got wrapped up more, and I kept putting it off in the back burner. I was like, okay, the thing that really there was like the catalyst of what started it, like really the momentum of the last few years was I was in a relationship, and then obviously it's like my origin story, my villain origin story. And it was a pretty bad breakup. I was pretty, upset at the time. It was probably the most shitty thing that had happened to me in a long, long time. And that was like when it triggered me, where I was like, because she was like, yeah, you should be doing stand up, or like you could be doing what your friend's doing. She was like the one saying it too, as well as, but I kind of put everyone aside. I'm like, no, I was putting a lot of value in her. I was trying to make sure she was cool. And then when the breakup happened, like I had nothing. And then I was like super down, super depressed. I did all the cliche things. I started therapy to like work on myself. I started journaling. I started doing like, I was walking in the sun. I started really taking my fitness seriously again, and like my nutrition. And it started this whole cascade. This is about 3 years ago. And then I was so depressed. And this kid DMs me and he's like, hey, I heard you're the guy. Like, I almost felt I had imposter syndrome. And I was like, I, everyone keeps saying like, you're like the funny guy. You're like the comedian. And I was like, yeah, but I'm like, I don't do I haven't done it really. I've done it like maybe once or twice, but like, I'm really not I'm not a comedian. So I kind of felt like shitty. But after that, like initial breakup and everything, I was just super pissed. And it was like my motivator to be like, you know what? I'm going to level up so hard, so that like, that's like my motivation. And then this kid DMs me, and then he's like, you should come to this open mic. And I show up. I'm super depressed. I just got out of the gym. I'm sweaty. I'm in a tracksuit. I'm sitting in the back, and he comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, hey, you showed up." I'm like, "Yeah, dude. I'm not going to go up there. I'm just here to like observe and just like try to get the feel for this." And he goes, "No, dude. I watch your stuff. I see your stories, because that's what I'd always do. My backbone has always just been my stories. I use it as like a vlog, as you know, and as most people know. I treat my stories for the last 10 years is essentially a vlog of my life. And it's never stopped. I've been consistent with that. And so he was like, dude, you're funny. I've followed you for 3 months. And he's like, you're telling me you don't do this? And I'm like, no, not like, I haven't really done it like that. And then he's like, he's like, I'm signing you up. And I was like, no, 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 don't. And he's like, I don't care. He's like, dude. And it's all about like the way people like frame things. He was like, even if you go up there and read one joke off your phone and say, hey, that's my time, that's it. And he's like, can you do that? And it's this fucking 19-year-old kid. I'm 27. And I'm like, yeah, I can fucking do that. Are you kidding me? And he goes, cool. And then I sit there and I'm watching everybody go up, and I'm sitting there on my phone, and I'm like, and this is also what I try to tell people too. I go, if you ever feel like you can't do comedy or stand up, go to an open mic. You'll see how bad it gets, and how like everyone's bombing, that's just how it is. And you can really, like, for me, I was watching so many people go up there that are just really not probably cut out to be doing this. Yet they get up there, they say their thing with confidence. They get no laughs. It's awkward. It's cringy. And then they get off, and it doesn't really affect them. And I go, I'm better than that. There's no way I can't do that. And I can do that like without having to like even prepare. So I wrote a couple things down that night it was during the spy balloon thing that was going on. And that was like the first reference point. I went up on stage. I was the last one that went up there, and Chris Williams, you've had on your show, he was like, how do I introduce you? What's your name? And I'm like, I'm Brian. I've kind of done this, but not really. It's been a while. He's like, all right, cool. He got up. He said, I'll never forget that night. Cause he was like, all right, this guy coming up is Brian. He's been took a little break, and but he's back. So like, welcome him back. There's some people there at Blue Owl, and I went up there and I was like pointing at I was like, oh, cool, like hello. And then I remember pointing at they had like a hot air balloon as like a glass figurine. I go, only in Santa Barbara would they already have a monument for that Chinese hot air balloon that got shot down, and that worked, and everyone laughed. And then I was like, yeah, cool. And I was like, yeah, I lost some weight. I lost like 20, 30 pounds. Everyone clapped. And I'm like, you want to know the secret? And I was like, yeah, get your heart shattered. And I get it broken. I was like, and lots of cocaine. And I was like, no, but seriously, I was like, no, seriously. I was like, yeah, it's like, when you're that depressed, I was like, you could get on a cardio machine, an elliptical, and just feel no pain. You'll be gone. It's 45 minutes go by. You're drenched in sweat, and you can't eat. And I was like, it's the perfect weight loss recipe. Like, This is before it was epic. So I was like, this is crazy. But
Pre-Olympics.
yeah, that's like that's how we did it before. And so it worked. I had 5 minutes. I said all these things, and then the kid comes up. I get off stage, and the kid comes up to me, and he's like, "Holy shit, dude!" He's like, "You got to be doing this." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "I know. I already know. Like, it's everything I've already known." And then Chris like shook my hand. He was like, "Thank you for coming out." Because he's like really excited. I know whenever there's like new people that come into the community, and especially if they're like probably decent, and not just like another homeless person that like gets up
Right.
there. And so honestly, that was the beginning. And then that was about 3 years ago. And then I ended up going that kid held me accountable every week. He would text me. He's like, "You coming tonight?" And I would always like, you battle your internal dialogue where it's like the negative talk. It's like, "No, you're too tired. No, you don't have anything prepared." But you have to fight it. Like that's the effort for me. That's where I stumble, where I'm like, my brain overrides where it's like, "You're not ready. You're not ready. You got stuff to do. You got it'll make all these lists of things I should be doing, but it's like, reframe it. What's 5 minutes out of, you can still do all those things. Go over there and say something for 5 minutes, and that'll give you exactly what your body, like what your soul's been craving. Because like I tell everyone, I'm like, what does it feel like? I'm like, it feels like alignment. Like when I go on stage, like I feel like that's where I belong. It gives me the most satisfaction. Regardless if I do well or not, like I feel really good about it, and like it kind of sets the tone for like my week if I get a mic in. And then I was being consistent, and then obviously I've been marketing myself for years, but I wasn't really doing anything. So the moment I had to tangibly start, when I started actually doing stand up and I started posting that, and I posted my first picture of me on a mic, I remember that everyone on Instagram was like, "It's about fucking time." Like everybody was like, "Yeah," and I was like, I know." And so that gave me a lot of like evidence that stuff that I already knew about. And so it took a lot of work, but that was like the moment where things really switched. And then ever since then, like, I did a couple shows. And it was all really like, yeah, like I am funny and I do know that, but a lot of it, you could be funny and not know how to like, and no one would know if you don't really post or like, do anything about it. Like, so I was blasting myself, I'm filming myself, I'm cutting reels, putting captions, I'm talking to like the people that are like doing the shows. I got some of the girls that do shows in Santa Barbara. They came up to me after one of my sets, and they were like, "Hey, you're funny. Do you want to be on one of our shows?" And so like that's kind of what started a lot of the stand up, like me getting consistent and me believing in myself. And then my buddy who ended up being in LA, who blew up or is blowing up, he reached out and he's like, "Hey man, I'm on tour and I'm going to be going to Portland, where you're from. Would you like to open like a feature?" And I was like, this was 2 years ago, and then I was like, yeah. I was like, that would, and so that put a lot of pressure on me. But like, I went out there, and a lot of friends I posted on Instagram. I was doing like a full plunge in the thing, and then I was like, "Hey, Portland, Oregon. I hadn't been back in 13 years."
Wow.
And yeah, and I didn't know anyone would go. And I remember looking out at the green room at this. I went to an actual comedy club, and I was freaking out. And he's like chilling. He does hour sets. He's touring, and he's like, "Yo, like, why are you freaking out?" And I drank a double tequila soda, and he's like, "Yo, like, chill." And I'm like, "Dude," and he's like, "Why are you so nervous? Aren't you doing this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I do it at like little restaurants and stuff. Like, this is an actual comedy club." And so he looked at me. I remember right before I went on stage, my heart's beating, and he goes, "Hey, dude, none of this matters. We're all gonna die." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Who gives a shit?" He's like, "Who cares if they laugh or not?" He's like, "No one's gonna really remember this or care." And I go, "You're right." So I went out there. I'm fucking scared, and I say my 5 minutes, and uh, there was a lot of people in the crowd that went to my high school and that were there and with their wives and stuff. And so I went out, and that was like an ultimate like feeling for me. And I went out with them after to get drinks, and they were like, "You're great. Like, you're awesome. Like, it's good to see you. You're all tan and tattooed." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I live in California. Like, I have a coke addiction." Like, I like,
It's
I
a
was like,
requirement.
yeah, dude, it's like, I literally like, they're like, "You're so Hollywood." And I'm like, "It's a different life, man." But it was crazy. They were like, as I left, they were like, "Hey man, it's really good to see you." Like a couple of them, when I said bye to some of them, they're like, hey, it's really good to like see you follow like your dreams, because a lot of people that we grew up with, we all kind of, they're like PE teachers and principals and whatnot and electricians, and those are all, that's great and all, but they were like, yeah, but like you actually like went out and you're doing something. And I'm like, yeah, it's a trade though. I'm like, the lifestyle I lead is not, I don't have a family, you guys have homes. Like I I kind of still in the mix of like drinking and boozing and going out, and like it's a different life. You guys do that, but like you go home to your families, and you're almost like ahead of me in that terms. But I also know that, and so I've chosen that, and I've made peace with that. And like I've told my mother about that, because she's obviously like, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey, just let me do my thing, and like just trust me. And so she's kind of backed off. She was just like, all right, just stop getting tattoos. And then I got more tattoos, and so she's super thrilled. And so, but yeah, like there was that was the big moment. And then I knew I wanted more. And then when I started doing the stand up, that felt really good. And then I started to like slowly like start putting my creative energy and like more of the skits again. And then now it's turned into this, like, I'm what, like a pseudo influencer is what people like essentially call me now around town and whatever, wherever I go. They're like, oh, you're like, it's Brian the influencer or whatever. And but it all kind of falls in the same bucket of like I'm kind of like this comedic influencer. So yeah, I do stand up. Yeah, I can make videos, but then I also like to do like funny food reviews, and so it all can be pulled from the same thing. So, and it also it really like wets, like, I don't know like the term, but like it like wets my whistle, or it keeps it. If I don't have anything, I'm not doing any stand up, I'll go make a video and review like a burger, and that'll like light me up and like gets my brains firing. And I'll go, that'll make me have more content to do. It all pulls from the same bucket of creativity for me. And so that's how it all eventually, and here we are now, where I'm at this point where I'm kind of been doing a lot more of that influencing food review stuff, but I'm really trying to dial back and do more. I really want to take stand up, because I took it as far as I could, kind of giving it this like 30% effort approach, and it took me a little pretty far. But I told myself this year, I told Chris, and then like I told my therapist, like one of my resolutions is like, I I want to write more and be more prepared and have better material, because imagine, like, because I'm going up there and I'm riffing half the time. I have points that I talk, and like I have my bits, but if I just like actually honed it in, it would be deadly. And like all my friends were like, yeah, dude, like if you just did this from the beginning, you would have already like probably had a Netflix special. And I'm like, I know. Okay, it's once again, I get it, but like there's nothing I can do. I'm not gonna build, like, I can't build a time machine. I'm not gonna live in the past. Like the only thing I can control is what I can do now and what I can do today. And so I have a routine now. It's not like that dude. I don't put the ice and wake up at 4 a.m. and do all that. But I have my routine where and it's been pretty good right now. I definitely am at the gym all the time, but it's good for me. And then I set aside 20 to 30 minutes, and I have a little book, and I write as much as I can until I don't feel like I want to write, and I put it away. And then every day I try to write down one thing on my notes app of like something that's funny or something that could be elaborated on. And then when I have my time to write every day or every other day, I try to elaborate on that topic to see if there's some bits I can come up with. But there's so many things, and I realize I have, like, just like Chris, like severe ADHD. So for me to
Me
sit
too.
down and write, it takes a lot. And so it's been a challenge for me to, like, that's been my biggest challenge, is forcing myself, like, hey, you're not there yet. Like, you can't just keep winging these things. Like, to get to the next level, you do have, like, this is the work. This is the work you're avoiding. Sitting down, writing. It's not glamorous. It's not awesome. It takes time and focus, but that is what's necessary in order to get to the next level. And so I've had to really, like, realize that and internalize that, and I have. And the last couple months have been pretty good, and I'm ready to, like, kind of like do some more prepared material and like take it a little more seriously, or a lot more seriously than I've ever done it. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now with a lot of this stuff. But yeah. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, no, but there's a lot that I can relate to that. Just starting with the idea. Well, I also have an older sister who kind of like perfect daughter, never got
Yeah.
into the partying, the drinking like I did, and yeah, kind of like the black child. So I was the black sheep of the family. So I can totally relate to Bill on that. But that brings me to so many points, so many things I want to touch on. One thing is comparing ourselves to others. I think that's something that can hold us back so much. I can look around and look at our friends that are, like you said, married with kids, so they got it all together. And I'm sure they have their own stuff going on, the problems that they put on, but I look at that and I'm like, damn, I'm behind. And then I look at other friends that are doing the stuff that I was doing 5, 6 years ago, and I might say, oh, I'm ahead. But I just want to say that we are have our own journey. And the journey that you're taking, it might seem completely abnormal to some people and a little out of the ordinary. But again, you're doing what you're doing, getting clarity in what you're doing. The way
Yep.
I look at life is we're 34, and it seems like we've kind of done life a little bit similarly. So the way you said it, like I feel like my brain just fully developed, and I'm just now getting a grasp of life. And to now look at the life ahead, and hopefully we have up to 80, 90 years old. I feel life is just beginning, and
Exactly.
that's something
Hmm.
important to realize. That yeah, some people might have gotten together at 2, at 5, at 35, but then you look at success stories. Steve Harvey was homeless at 50 or something like that, or like
Hmm.
in his 40s. So it's just so important to remember that we're following our journey.
It's yeah, it's perspective, honestly. And like, there's like, I joke about it where it's like, it's like, oh, you're 34. It's like, all right, pack it in, bro. It's time. It's go get that desk job, and
You're a
honestly,
baby. You're still
that's what I, and that's honestly like how I keep operating is like my subcon, there's something deeper within me, and it sounds weird or whatever, but like I'm sure other people probably feel it too, like that are in this field or like are trying to like, there's this like need or want, like I know there's more, there's got to, like I can't settle, and like it almost like it puts me back in many ways because I just don't take certain opportunities because I'm like, that's not what I want to do, because I still want to do this one thing that can get me to this higher level. And so I've avoided a lot of the traditional routes. I mean, with school and like going to corporate jobs and doing that, the 9 to 5, like I've avoided all those things because I subconsciously knew, I don't know if that's gonna get me to where I want to be. Like it'll be great for like, it'll make my mother happy, but will that make me happy? Like probably not. So I always avoided it. But yeah, and like comparing myself to others has always been something that has been an issue. But then I always channel that, like the same thing with like the breakups and the like all the stuff that's happened in my life. It's like, what do you do with that energy? Like how do you like, I read that book, The Alchemist, and like it's like, what do you transmute that energy and like put it into something, like channel that pain, channel that anger that I had, put it into a skit, put it into a, write it down, put it back into the universe and turn it into something like tangible that people can benefit from. Like, you got, it's like you didn't have a dad, right? So I always, that's always like my thing. And like, I joke about it, but like people have come up to me and they're like, you like make such lighthearted things about your shitty childhood. And I'm like, that's the only way I know how to get through it. Cause if I don't, then I let it consume me, then it wins. So you, I chose the path, and not the way I've arrived at this, decision is, this is just the deck of cards. This is the hand I was dealt. Instead of, I used to blame my friends that I grew up with. They all had more money than me. Everyone had this. They were skinnier, better looking, all these things. Nothing was gonna, like, no one's gonna come save you. No one's gonna, like, there's no magic thing that's gonna happen. Like, you gotta do it yourself. And you just happen to get dealt this hand. So all the things between like the way I started like fixing my physical appearance, I started losing weight. I didn't like the way I looked. I like tattoos. I started covering myself. I started, I really started changing my physical to match what I felt inside. And then once that happened and aligned a little bit more, that's what gave me the confidence, because I already had the funny, all that shit's already there. But once I felt it align is when I really like it kind of started taking off. And that was what I needed personally. And I was like, yo, like once I feel like I'm at the level where I need it to be at, then I'll get on stage. I'll start being on camera more, because I'll look back at some of those videos that I've posted and some of the stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't really look that great. And it's not really what anyone's focused on, but it's something that I've focused on. But I can also look back and be like, yo, like I can see the progression. and I can give myself a pat on the back, and I'm like, cool, like this is where I am improving, like slowly but surely, like there is improvement, and I'm doing more and more things. It just doesn't have to be at the same time as everyone else, and that's okay. And like as long as you're doing the work and like do like I have a sense of accomplishment, like mostly every other day or so, like I'm doing something that moves the dial a little bit forward, between writing and like going to the gym. Like every day at the gym, it's a monotonous, boy, you know the deal. It's like it yeah, I post about it, but like there's a lot of people that don't see the amount of time. Like I'm in there all day. Like I'm in there doing cardio for 30 minutes. I'm lifting for an hour, like all this stuff. And then they'll see me and they're like, oh dude, like you just like what are you doing? Like what is like you got lucky with this? And I'm like, nah man, like I'm literally grinding for like a lot of this stuff. And yeah, the comedy thing was my only natural thing that came to me that was gifted. And so everything else I've had to work for between money and like the way I look and like where I've gotten to in like Santa Barbara, like being able to survive in Santa Barbara, that's all me. So and I have to remember that and be like, yo, you are doing like as much as I see people, I'm like, you're doing that. That's cool. Like like, for example, like you, I'm like, dude, and that's the thing about social media. I'm like, you just see the snapshots and the highlight reels. And I'm like, that person's traveling. And I know what it looks like, what I look like to other people too. They're like, this dude's traveling all over, but they don't know the logistics too. It's like, we're all, dude, I'm like, we're all struggling. And I finally, like, I realized a long time ago as well, like, nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, bro. Like, nobody fucking knows. Like, some people just got a little bit, it's like a lot of this stuff is luck. Like, but some people are just more prepared at certain times. Like, I could have done like a lot more things when I was traveling in terms of comedy, but I just wasn't honestly prepared. But the opportunities are around us in every way. And so, especially like when you're networking and going and talking to people, you never know who you're talking to. And so, like if someone offered me like, hey dude, like, oh, you're funny, like would you be down for like an hour special, like I believe in you, like I would be like shit, like I wouldn't say no, but like I know I'd be like I gotta get my ass prepared, like because you never know those things, these things can happen all the time. And that's kind of what happened with me with like a lot of stuff that I did take risks on, the wine company and the business. And that stuff was like me because I had prepared and I had background knowledge in the bars and the industry. And then, but with comedy stuff, I'm always like, oh, this is like something I care about a lot. So I'm always like hesitant to like, I don't want to like ruin my stuff with like putting out like a crap product. So that also sets me back sometimes where I'm guilty of it where I say post everything, but then I'm like, no, like they might not like this thing. I'm sitting on a ton of like even like the burger review stuff I was doing. I have so much footage just sitting in my phone, but I'm like, man, I don't know if like this is gonna work. And it's like that voice again that I'm trying to override and battle where it's like, you are good enough, you are funny, like stop. It's that my inner child. I just want to like smack my inner child over the head and be like, dude, shut up. Just
But yeah, I love voice. That reminds me of something Chris told me when I interviewed him. Is so many people tell you you're funny, you're funny. It's not a coincidence. One, two people tell you that, okay, but you got a whole people telling you like it's for a reason, right? So
yeah,
it's important also to. It's funny because it's kind of contradicting. The same way that we gotta not listen to people think, we do have to listen to what they might say about us because they might have some truth in that.
exactly.
I want to ask you about your what inspires you, comedic. I love comedy. I grew up watching
Yeah,
comedy every day. Always laughing. So, what are some of the influences that you had in the journey that
yeah,
you mentioned Matt Rife? What are some other big names
yeah.
or even not so big names?
Yeah, I thought about that, and like I've thought about that question because I get asked that question a lot, and all the time actually. And for like a straightforward answer, like when I grew up, I really liked Dave Chappelle, and like I watched the Chappelle show. I was watching a lot of him growing up. That was like my humor. I kind of grew up a lot like so in Portland. Portland's like it's like a melting pot. It's like New York. It's like there's everyone there. And I grew up right in the middle of like it was like upper middle class, but I was kind of on the border, and so I had friends that were like across the street were like super poverty, and then right next to me was like golf course, and I'm like right in the middle, so I'm middle class essentially. But we looked middle class, but then money wise we had fucking nothing, and so I kind of related, and I kind of float with a lot of these. Like I was hanging out with Mexican dudes, I was like hanging out with a bunch of black dudes, but I was hanging out with all the white dudes, but I never really felt like I belonged with the white dudes because they all had the money and stuff. So a lot of my humor came from like the poverty side and like having no money and eating like fucking, macaroni and hot dogs and shit, and like, and that shit, that's why like a lot of my humor is based in my comedy and my stories and stuff. It's all like a lot of like ethnic, like urban shit, because it's like the struggle shit. Because like that's kind of where I got abused by like my parents, and I had like a lot of shitty things happen to me, and so that's where my comedy stems from. But like the dark side of stuff, and like, and Dave Chappelle was like, he's raunchy, and he was like, he just kind of like has a straightforward way of like talking about like the state of the world. I mean, now he's gone super like, super duper political, and that's cool. But he was like, in the beginning, he was like, it's like this matter of like fact way of just speaking. Like, this is how it is. Like, this is how life is. You motherfuckers don't understand, but like, yo, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's just like that nonchalantness is what I really liked, because there is like only so much you can do about certain things, and there is humor in that, of like, of finding like, hey, there is nothing you can do, and like that's just how motherfuckers roll. And like, I liked that style, and that kind of stemmed in me and like grew. And then I kind of, as I got older, I started paying more attention, and then I think I really started paying attention was Chris D'Elia. His style, to me, was something I really enjoyed. I saw him live a couple times, and I was like watching his specials. He was like the first guy, like, I was really starting to pay attention to comedy, and I was like, man, I just really like the way he like speaks and the way he like enunciates words, and he goes on these like weird tangents, and then he goes like, he talks like really goofy, but
It's
then
a
it's
little bit
like,
of a physical comedy as well.
yeah, and I like that style. It resonated to me, and then but like also in the beginning, I remember my friend told me, he was like, yeah, when but he was further along the process. He's like, be careful about like watching a lot of the comedians you like, and like a lot of comedies in general, because you start subconsciously emulating them and writing like them and talking like them, and that'll come through on stage, like the mannerisms, and then like people will start kind of calling you out, like, that's like a Dave Chappelle thing, or that's a Dalia, that's a Bill Burr line. And so I actually, that almost like scared me, and so I stopped watching a lot of comedy. I just watched the clips, but I would like stay away from watching specials, because unless like every now and then when like I had with friends, but like I would just stay away. And so people were like, dude, like, who's your I'm like, I'll go see him live, and it's great. Like, I really liked Tom Segura.
Yep.
I really like, obviously, Normand, and I liked Andrew Schultz a lot. There's like all these people coming up, and let's see, I was kind of on the fence with like what's his name, the big guy, the Burt Kreischer.
Uh,
I know a lot of people like him, but like, that's more like dad humor to me. um, but not like my type of humor. But like, I appreciate it. And then, but who I really, really like, who's not my style at all in terms of delivery, is Anthony Jeselnik. Super dark, dry. Like, I fucking love it. I could watch all his specials and like just absolutely love that. And like, he's up there for me personally, because that just, everything's a setup and boom, setup, boom, just like, like this girl, like, this kid, this woman walks in front of a bus and gets hit. I just saw it. And he's like, that was the worst gender reveal she was pregnant. That was the worst gender reveal I've ever seen. To me, that's brilliant, And so that stuff inspires me. And then like my buddy Brent, who was the one I referenced a lot, he inspired me a lot. Obviously, I was like around him, watching his success. That inspired me. Watching him slowly go from doing these mics to then I started going to his shows when he'd come up here and then go to San Francisco. Us and our friends, our friend group would go, and that they would always be like nudging me. They're like, that could be you, that could be you. And I'm like, I know, I know. And that inspired me. And then seeing, when I was in Nashville, Morgan J, that was crazy to me, because like, he had a whole nother style of like, he's got the auto tune guitar thing, and then it's almost like a performance, it's like Kanye type shit, where like it's not just stand up. Like, there's like, it's stand up can be more than just you saying these jokes. It can be like these like, honestly, like a show of like a story of your childhood, and like, it can be all these different elements. He's incorporating like keyboardists, he's incorporating his auto tune, he'll bring his guitar out, obviously. But
yeah.
that inspires me.
Well, I was gonna ask you about where comedy's going, because it used to be, I think, for the longest time, it was very traditional. Get up on stage, do your jokes. Robert Williams. We had so many of the greats.
Yeah.
It's taken really kind of a different. Now you have the crowd work. Like Morgan J. It's so funny you mentioned it because
Yeah.
I was watching his clips earlier today.
Hmm.
So different, so different.
So different.
But that also goes to show there's comedy for everyone. And I think that's
Hmm.
kind of forget about that too. There's some comedians that I mean I find most of them funny, but some of them, yeah, not like Brad is. I can see why he's funny, but it's not so much my style. But
Exactly.
he has a huge audience for a reason.
Hmm.
And this Morgan J is so unique, so different. So where do you see yourself kind of like you said, it's a fine line between
Yeah.
admiring a comedian,
Hmm.
wanting to kind of, follow their style, but stay true to yourself and your style. I think you
Yeah.
have your own style. So where do you kind of see your
So I have a good story about that, just like to transition into that. So when I saw Morgan in Nashville, I had a show here when I got back, maybe like a week or two after. And so I was obviously I'm probably what 2 years in, 3 years in. So I'm very much still in the infancy stages of comedy as far as people are in the grand scheme of it. So I'm pretty new to it still. And so I'm still, as they call it, finding my voice and finding my angle. And that's essentially what a lot of people that have seen me and have talked to me after my shows and whatnot, they've always been like, yeah, you're funny. But they're like, once you figure out your thing, like in once you like you're clearly still trying to find it because you're kind of I'm trying different things, and that's the whole point, and that's kind of what open mics are for. But he was like, once a lot of these people were like, once you kind of find your thing and your voice, you're gonna it's gonna take off for you. It's gonna change everything, and I truly believe that too, because like I am messing around. But anyway, I saw Morgan, and I was kind of inspired by the way he would just go out there and just it's so nonchalant and doesn't give a fuck. It's a sold out room. He's just talking about like whatever. It's like he's so casual and like people are just laughing and dying. And so I came back and did the show, and I tried to incorporate some of that mannerism of like the like carefree, which is important because like you want to act like you're comfortable up there if that's the thing. And obviously, if you're nervous, people can tell. It's like blood for sharks in the water. Like you're gonna bomb because everyone knows you. The audience can feel when you're nervous and you're fucking up. So I was doing a lot of this non I don't give a fuck thing, and it was kind of working, but ultimately it didn't really because the difference is like people like Morgan, people like Trevor Wallace, people like Brent, like they have like big fan bases already that know them. And so that stuff, and this is the thing about comedy. Once people like, from what I've noticed, once you're like already there or like they know you, the people that are like going to watch you at these shows, they're already vested. They're already pre-bought to the idea of you or the Chappelle. Like they're gonna like you no matter what the fuck you say. You go out there and just be like, "Yo, how's the weather?" Ha! And everyone just laughs just because you're in the room with them. They're all it does is invoke all the videos. Like they know they feel like they know you, and so it works on that level. So when I was kind of doing that the last time I did that show, it didn't really work that well because like there was some people that knew me and they were like, oh, they were laughing because they know me. But like all these people, all these old white people at this coffee shop are like, the fuck is this dude talking about cocaine and yoga and like seed oils and this shit, and it just wasn't. And I acknowledged it. I was like, yep, this isn't working. Where I'm in a different tax bracket here, like like this. But like I think it was important to acknowledge that, and like that wasn't like one of my best shows, and that's okay, and it's part of the process. But I think where I'm gonna go, like I'm still very much in the mix of finding it, and that's why it's important for me to keep writing, trying these things, going. Like the gym for comedy is mics. That's the gym. Like that's where you work out material. That's where you start working. And but it's hard to know because you don't get a lot of laughs or reactions because you're pretty much talking to other comics when they're there. There's not a lot of audience, so these rooms are tough when you because you're at a restaurant, you're battling these dishes that are people are like eating dinner, there's clanking. They're not paying attention, so you're going up there and just hoping. And if you get a couple laughs, that's what you're looking for. But like you're really just looking for the comfortability of like feeling like that's going to be funny, and then watching yourself and recording it. And so for me, I think a lot of my humor is the way I've noticed, and when I watch my footage and my clips and whatnot. Like there's a lot of my humor stems from a lot of self-deprecation. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm a piece of shit. Yeah, I do a lot of drugs, but like also like I do a lot of yoga and I do a lot of self-care and I journal and I go outside
balance.
and I yeah, I'm the balance. Like there's the yoga thing, right? You know, like but I'm like but I'm not going to say no to a bump of that. Like, you know, but it's like I have this dichotomy where it's like super everyone's like it's relatable and that's what it stems from my time in Santa Barbara for sure because everyone's kind of doing the same thing, you know. Everyone's kind of partying a lot, or a lot of people are, and then throughout the week they're kind of just like trying to keep it together. And that's kind of like how I've been doing it here. And it's like I go through these phases where I'm just like I'm drinking a lot, I'm going on these benders, not so much anymore, but like when I was younger. But then I'm like, man, I really got to fucking lock in. I really got to get this shit together. Like this is I don't feel good, and like so that's like a lot of my humor. And then I pull from like my childhood with like my relationship with my mother and how she fucking gaslit me and just like doesn't like give a fuck and just nothing's good enough. And so that's a lot of my humor. It's like that's where I'm kind of gearing towards is like a lot of personal trauma. So it's all trauma based stuff, really. I'm really talking, and then there's like a lot of current event stuff that I'll throw in there, but those are just throwaways. It's like my material comes from what I know, and that's how it, I think, for my angle, that what works for me is people like me. They like the person that I'm because I've talked to people that like if you're like anything like you are on social media, you are on stage, then like I'm in. And I'm like, yeah, I'm essentially the same way. I'm the same way. Like a lot of these bits come from me sitting at these kitchen tables at 5 a.m. coked out of my mind talking about business with these people, and then I remember them, and then I write them down, and I'm like, oh, let's start this Uber for spaceships for aliens when they come, and like you know, like all these crazy dumb things,
Idea.
and I'm like, and like Bitcoin, and like let's like all like I just talk about. I like to mock how like ridiculous like our society is and the way we are and like how I am and like and I'm the target like really like I make fun of my friends, I make fun of myself, and it's like Eminem where he's like an 8 Mile, he's like when he starts roasting himself where he's like you can't tell me something you don't like you don't know already about me after he says everything like
I've heard
I'm going up there, yeah. So he just kind of roasts himself in a rap battle, and then the guy who tries to go at him has nothing to say because he just talked shit about himself the whole time. And so I do a lot of that, and so that's kind of my direction. But hey, that like you said, things change and things evolve, and like if that doesn't feel like it aligns with me anymore, which it could change. Obviously, I'm slowly getting out of the degenerate stuff. Like obviously, I'm still doing my thing and I'm still drinking and partying and whatnot, but I have slowly in the last 2 years have become fully into this health thing, and it's I used to mock that, and now I'm like literally going showing up to yoga sculpt at 9 a.m. I'm like going on these like walks. I'm trying to I got the blue light blockers at night. I got mouth tape. I do like the nose strip every night. I'm taking magnesium. I'm like researching like I'm actually super into a lot of like peptides and health stuff, and so that kind of goes into my humor too because that's like me trying to like figure out like my health and like how it's funny because I'm like, man, I'm just really like poisoning myself, but then doing all this overkill. Like I have a team of doctors. Like I have a psychiatrist, I have a therapist, I have like a skin doctor, I have my primary. I get blood work done every 3 months to see where I'm at, and it's like hilarious because I'm like, it was so funny because they're like, I went in there and they go, hey, like, how's everything going? And I'll be honest. I'm like, yo, I did a fuck ton of drugs this weekend and I haven't really slept a lot. And they're like, okay, cool. And then let's take a look at your blood. And they're like, your cholesterol got better. Your heart rate's better. And I go, that's impossible. There's no way. And they're like, you're like, and you lost like you're slimming down. Your body mass fat index is going down. And they're like, well, they're like, we'll pretend we didn't hear those things that you said. And I was like, okay, I was like, I just want to be honest with you, just because like I really care about my health, but like I also am still doing these things. But that I was like, that also messes me up in the head because I'm like, damn, is it really like if I could still do those things and still improve my like my blood markers and my hormones, like that's scary. But on the other side of that coin, it's like, but what if you just didn't do it? Like if you, because a lot of comedians now are all like sober. They're all like very sober. They all like Theo Vaughn, like I mean, most of those people are like depressed, you know, and they come from a lot of addiction, and most comedians are depressed and alcoholics. Like Nikki Glazer, she like stopped drinking, and then like obviously like everyone's career just went skyrocketed. And I kind of have this feeling that if I were to go completely sober, that's only going to make things a lot better. And I just have not really fully come to terms with that yet. In terms of like, is that what I want to do? Because I'm stubborn, and I'm like, I still have control over this. I still like, it's part of my thing. It's my shtick. Like, I'm this guy who can party, but also like do these health things. But realistically, like at the bottom line, like I do know the best move would probably just to be like the most optimal version of me would be to be not drinking nearly as much and definitely not doing as many drugs. But like I think mushrooms and stuff is like still fine. Like those things are like open your mind and creative. Like talking about like cocaine, really, honestly. But like I don't do anything else. But it's like I drink and I do coke. But other than that, like I'll indulge in some Adderall. But like I just do that to clean my room and do the dishes because and write. But other than that, like I feel like the alcohol has inhibited a lot of progression in my life. It's also been the biggest thing that's it's gotten me that I've I have two DUIs. I've been arrested several times in every city I've ever been in, except this one actually. Funny enough, but the most
Rest.
alcoholic city. But I've never been arrested here. But every time I've been arrested, it's been in every other city that I've been in, and just from drinking too much and like being a kid and like being drunk in public and stuff like that. And then the DUIs were up in SAC, but I learned my lesson with that. I don't drink and drive anymore, and so there's like lessons to that. But my mom always told me, she's like, if you just like stop drinking, like that would probably be just the best thing for you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not fighting you on that. There's no rebuttal here. Like you're right. And then I just kind of moved. I changed the topic, and but that's why I love my therapist because she's like, no, that's why I pay her to agree with me. She's like, I think you got this. Like she's like, I think there's a middle ground. And I'm like, exactly, right? I know I'm right. Like I know I could do this. And so I don't know. But that's like my thoughts on all that, like and where I'm going and like my evolution and my process of what could be in the future. But for right now, it's this like self-deprecation, this kind of dark humor about myself, about society, and acceptance of like where we're going and like fuck it, like dude, these egg prices aren't getting any better, and like fucking Chat GPT is gonna come take your jobs, but I don't have any fucking skills that they want to take, so I'm like I ain't worried about it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not getting replaced by any robot anytime soon because they can't be funny. I tried. I used Chat GPT to try like look at joke stuff, and it's just like it's so hollow. It's funny because it's so dumb. And I like think I read a joke out loud, and I was like it was about like scuba diving, and it was just so literal, and it was just so funny to me. I was like, all right, comedy's pretty safe for a while, but everyone else in like marketing and fucking coding, you're fucked. Like you're all done. So yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to think about. So
Just to touch a little bit on what you said, it goes back to following your journey, right? You see all these comedians, and that work for them. Might not be the same for you, but
totally.
it's in your mind, and you maybe you experiment, you try this and that. But I think again, I relate a lot to you in that I went through my very hard drinking stages, also up to the UIs, been arrested a couple times,
Oh shit,
and
I didn't know that.
yeah, I think I'm able to put on a bit of a good good tissue, but
You have a very professional front. I mean, I used to see you partying. You and
yeah,
the Blue Water crew back in the
no, yeah,
day.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and those
Yeah,
crazy years,
they
but.
were. But you guys were still in the gym. That
Yeah,
was the
that
thing. It kind of
well,
goes hand
that's
in
funny you
hand.
say that. The gym is the one thing that I wish I had taken as serious in other areas of my life. For some reason, when I
Mm,
was 19, I suddenly I was very skinny, and I hated it. I was like, I'm just skinny bubbles. So I wanted to, but if, no matter what through my life, I rested, even when I was part time, was at the gym.
yep,
Yes, it's good, but I wish that translated to other areas. But all to
dude.
say that,
Yeah,
I mean, alcohol. I think we all know that is our enemy to a sense. But I love my wine, I love my whiskey. That doesn't.
yeah. It's tough
It's
when
just
you got
it's
the
fun.
gene.
It's finding a balance, and but yeah, man, it's been really cool to talk to you. I think
Dude, I
like I said,
appreciate
I've
it.
related to you for a while, and I love the drive. I love that you got to the point where you are now.
Totally.
Maybe we don't know exactly where we are just yet, but we get it. And that's
Yeah,
what I like about you, that you put aside these kind of misconceptions and what other noise, doing you enjoy it. That's what I consider success.
yeah.
Following what you are passionate about. You know, this
I
podcast that we
100%
talked
agree.
about, who knows how many people listen to it, but just sitting here and talking to someone that I respect, that to me is my happiness. And
Hey,
it's gonna
likewise.
the rest of my day I'm gonna be on a high. and getting the
Same
clips
here.
out.
Same here. I might not need to do any drugs, so this is enough. I definitely feel like, see, even like talking about these things make you feel good. So that's why I tell everyone, get a therapist, man. Like, you all need it. Like, it's just talking about these things are very important. And but yeah, everything you said is on point, and I agree. Like, it's success is different for all of us and everyone, and we're all just trying to fucking navigate it on this fucking rock that's spinning in space. Like, who really fucking knows? There's no rules to shit. Like, you just got to do what's right for you, and it's everything cliche, unfortunately, is true. It's like all the things that I wanted to be against when I was growing up and hearing, oh yeah, like, go outside. If you're depressed, go outside, move your body, eat better. And like, guess what? All that stuff works. And like, and also like, if you don't like your job, quit it. It's like, have boundaries set. Like, and I learned that all a little bit, not late, but like at this age, I've learned all those things where I'm like, I'm not just going to say yes to these things, because as we get older, we learn ourselves, and we know ourselves better. And I feel like I'm at this point in my life where I feel like I really know myself, and like what I like and what I should be doing. And obviously, I'm not doing everything that I should be doing, and I know that, but I'm doing a lot of the things, and that should be something that should be, you should give yourself your roses for that, and like take a step back. And like I said from the beginning, to circle it all back, it's like, focus on the positives. So focus on what you've done right, and then that'll also open the doors for what's going to come ahead. And like, because being negative and complaining really doesn't change anything. It really just makes you feel good in the moment. And then I slowly finally was like, yeah, like, what, I'm not just going to sit at home bitching about this. Like, gotta, like, action, you gotta do something about it. Like, I'm not going to just magically get successful at comedy. You got to go to the mics, you got to write, you got to practice, you got to bomb, you got to put out content, you got to do these things, you got to just, you try. That's all it takes. And then, if it works, awesome. If it doesn't, it probably still might. It still probably will, honestly. If you, because that's how you win. Is like, because 95% of the people aren't trying, because they like, I could never do that. That's not me. And I'm like, cool. That's like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But like, there's people like us, and obviously there's all these people that are successful. There's this drive that, that there's more, and I want more for myself, and it's an unspoken thing, and that's this energy that's going to carry you to where you're meant to be going. So I mean, you have that, I have that, and most of these people have that. And so that's why at the end of the day, I'm not super worried about it, because I know what I need to do, and you know what you need to do, and we're making action, we're taking
And
steps
be
towards
proud of
it.
what you've done. Just look back at
Yeah,
5 years ago, where and now, so
yeah,
definitely celebrate that. And but I like to say, like, I'm happy, but I'm not satisfied.
exactly. Exactly, dude. It's like, going out to eat at like a mediocre restaurant. It's like, cool, I got food, but like, I'm not satisfied. There's like better
Good
stuff out
analogy.
there. Yeah, it's just like, it's like, I don't want to say Chili's, because I fucking love Chili's, but it's like eating at like a mid-tier place, and then it's like, cool, this did the trick, but it ain't. There's so much better out there. And
There's always
so exactly. So, but yeah, man, that's, we know what we got to do, and we're gonna keep moving forward, and I ain't worried about it, man. Just the economy just has to keep, not, the world just has to not end before I make it. That's where I'm at. So that's
well, man.
that's my
Keep it
only
going. Any
timeline.
last thing you want to promote? Any shows coming up? Anything you want to let
I
people know?
do. Yeah, I have some stuff coming up. Nothing I can really speak about finite, but I just want, I think the best way, and I tell everyone, the best way to be in touch with me is just my Instagram, which is at Brian.Saldivia. And that's where I post everything. I'm going to eventually get my, like, an email list and stuff. And my goals and stuff for this year. I definitely want to get to a point where I want to headline a show and not just be a feature, and do, like, I don't want to just, I've been doing a lot of 10-minute sets and stuff, which is great. And it's all awesome. But I want to get to a point where I am, the headline feature of a show this year, and that is my goal. And then, other than writing more and putting out more content, so, but the best way for everyone to keep following and be up to date would be just to be follow the Instagram, because that's essentially where I post all the stuff, and that's where I'm going to continue. That's my main platform. But yeah, I will be announcing whatever show, whatever project. I got some stuff, like, I have buddies writing screenplays and whatnot, and I'm going to probably be a part of those things. And those are more like acting stuff, and videos. And then in terms of the comedy stuff, there's some shows that I might be a part of in throwing at some locations, but those are all very much in the negotiation stage. But as of right now, it's about I'm just doing the work and taking this one day at a time and just trying to be consistent and win the day, essentially. So, you know.
Well, I'll post your socials. I'll be following you. My house is open for you in Atlanta. There's a big
Oh,
university
fuck
here.
yeah.
You
I'm
let me know.
coming. I'm
Yeah,
coming, dude.
you
I'm
let me know.
coming. I'm
All right,
absolutely coming, dude.
that's
All
good.
right,
We'll
buddy.
check out and get you out there. Awesome, Brian. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I
I'll see you
appreciate you,
next time.
man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
take care.